For more on, I'm joined now by reporter Joanna Manar from outside the Perth Supreme Court. Jo, this has been a case that's really captured the imagination of the WA public, particularly because this was a husband and wife pair who were well-known figures in the WA justice system.
Yes, as you say, Jeremy, they were very high profile in the justice system. Lloyd Rayney was a Supreme Court registrar, which is basically one step below a Supreme Court judge. Her husband, Lloyd, he was a former senior state prosecutor. He turned criminal defence barrister. So the two people were really well known in legal professional circles. But Lloyd Rayney disappeared in August 2007 after a boot scooting class. Her body was found 8 days later, buried in Kings Park, which is in central Perth. Now, this took a strange twist about a month later when police named her husband Lloyd as the prime and only suspect. He started defamation, multi-million-dollar defamation proceedings against the state, but in December 2010, that's more than 4 years after Lloyd Rayney's murder, he was charged with her murder. He was granted bail a few days later, and it's taken 18 months, but the trial will start today.
Now, Jo, as we've been reporting, given that these were two senior figures in the WA justice system, it makes it all the more complicated to make sure that there were no conflicts of interest in how this case is being heard.
That's right. As soon as Lloyd Rayney was charged, the case was handed over to the New South Wales Director of Public Prosecutions to handle. They've brought in John Aegis SC and a Sydney Senior Counsel to handle the case, very well known for his work such as in the Wood Royal Commission into police corruption. They also had to bring in an interstate judge because Lloyd Rayney worked at the Supreme Court. So the former Northern Territory Chief Justice Brian Martin has been brought in to hear the case. Lloyd Rayney's defence barrister is also from South Australia. A QC from South Australia, David Edwardson. So there really is an interstate flavour to this trial because they had to avoid any suggestion of a conflict of interest.
And Jo, because of all those measures and how drawn out this investigation has already been so far, how much is it all costing?
It's costing somewhere between $2 and $3 million. Earlier this year, the former Attorney General, Christian Porter, told Parliament that this could probably end up being the most expensive criminal trial in Australia's history. And that is because of the unusual arrangements that have had to be put in place. As I say, a judge had to be specially appointed and brought in from interstate. And of course, John Aegis SC and a team of prosecutors had to be put together to prosecute Lloyd Rayney. And then, of course, Lloyd Rayney is also facing his own costs in defending himself because he vehemently denies having anything to do with his wife's disappearance or her death, and that has been his position right from the start.
All right, reporter Jo Manar from the Supreme Court in Perth, and of course that case gets underway later today, and we'll bring you the latest as the details come in.